Hi, I'm Ken Rockwell. I'm going to explain a couple of tricks that I use with my EOS R5, the stuff that everybody needs to know. First off, for batteries, it works with the brand new included LP-E6 and H battery, but honestly, even my Watson third-party LP-E6N batteries seem to work just fine. Canon says it'll work with Canon's own LP-E6N batteries, as well as their even oldest, the LP-E6 batteries. The good news is it doesn't seem to be very picky. Although, of course, I usually like to use my Canon original batteries, but just for the sake of science, I tried my Watson battery, works okay. For charging, I don't use the included external charger. I charge over USB. Specifically, it charges over USB-C, but Canon says you should use a USB PD or Power Delivery Certified USB-C power supply, which I do. It works great. On their earlier cameras, I couldn't charge it with just a regular cord into a regular USB socket. It needed to be a power delivery type. So big deal. I paid $20 at Amazon. I got some links in my description and got a power delivery certified charger and didn't have to buy Canon's $200 solution. The beauty of having a separate charger is, and I expect that in years to come, Canon will skip this because you don't really need it, is that way you can charge both batteries. If for some reason you've managed to blow both batteries in the course of a day's shooting, when you get home, you can charge one in the camera and the second in the standalone charger, and you're good to go for the next day. While you're charging in the camera, this rear LED stays on green solid. If there's an error, this thing will blink rapidly. It'll also show you on the top that it's charging. I will admit that sometimes my Watson battery, even though it's done charging, doesn't show here or there that it's done charging, but that's what you get, third-party battery. With a voice memo recorder, there's a couple of tricks. As it comes, this is going to be the rate button, which I've never used. So to set that, you've got to program that button to do what you want it to do. Oh, by the way, if you keep pressing the Q button, it brings you to all these major categories here. To set the rate button, we go into the play menu. We go into this function, and I choose this option. This way, if you hold this button, it records the voice memo. Now, to demonstrate, if I play back an image, and I hold this down, it's now recording my memo. It'll record up to 30 seconds. If I release it, it's done. And now when I hit play, when I hit info, you'll see that little note message. That's you have a note. I have samples of these, that you can play back the original files direct from the camera at kenrockwell.com in the review, which is linked to in the description of this video, and you can hear for yourself. And here's another beautiful thing you can't do on Sony, at least not when I tried it on their A9. If I hold this again, I'm now recording another memo, but I'm not recording another memo. I'm adding onto the first memo, and the file in the camera, the WAV file, is actually going to get longer and longer. And the key is, even though each memo can only be up to 30 seconds, well, I tried it. I recorded one that was like 25 seconds, and another one was 25 seconds, so the total file was like 50 seconds long. To set our menus, I'm an old-timer. I'm used to just doing it this way. You can also do it with the touchscreen. You can also do it with this. It's like most things. You can do it with the other control dials. If you want to use it another way, try it. It probably works. For movies or still modes, I never shoot video. And one day, I got only video options. No matter what I did, I'd press my mode button. And this is how you change exposure modes. You press mode and then turn this. I couldn't get it. And I freaked out. I was like, what happened? There's no video still switch. It's hidden. And it turns out all I'm looking at is all my big, warnings here. For modes, well, if you read the fine print, info, press the info button. That changes it between video mode and still mode. Hidden, annoying as heck, but now that it's here on video, hopefully you guys won't get stuck the same way I did the first time. HEIF files. It's a new file format, and you have the option to shoot it. The advantage is for the same file size, you can potentially get 10 bits of data for sample data as opposed to 8 bits like JPEG. I won't go into the fact it's beyond the scope of this discussion, but those are logarithmic bits, so they have the same dynamic range as RAW does, depending on how the camera's picture controls are set. It's just a finer gradation, and it doesn't really matter. To be honest, the 45 megapixels, it doesn't matter. You could have 5 bits per pixel, and it would look just fine. But that's beyond the scope of this discussion. The key is if you're shooting the HEIF files, it only is going to be legible with very recent software and the Mac operating system. I don't know about what programs work in Windows. Personally, I'm still on Photoshop CS6 from 10 years ago, and that won't read HEIF files. If I get an HEIF file, I have to open it up in my Macintosh's preview and then save it as a JPEG, so be careful. Just like shooting RAW, don't expect that you can send anybody an HEIF file and they're going to be able to see it, or that even you're going to be able to see it or edit it. Try it out before you shoot a job in HEIF. Don't just get excited going, oh, it must be better. No, the pictures look the same. There's a new FV exposure mode, which is new as of the EOS R system. And some people, if you're not already into the EOS R system, you've got the usual program, time, aperture, and manual. FV is brilliant. It's probably one of the biggest innovations in photography since about, 1900s. The key is in FV mode, it works the same as program mode. However, you can now change any of these individual categories individually. As I change this, then when I turn the front dial, I have access to change the selected quality. And if I go over here, then I can change this, although honestly, the rear dial usually controls that. The key is I move this, and the reason the icon shows a front dial, that means if you change the front dial, I'll now change aperture. The key is I've now changed the aperture manually, and I've changed my ISO manually. The things that are underlined, the shutter speed here, are still set automatically. Now, if I want to go back to having the aperture chosen automatically, just press the trash button. You'll see it's underlined now, so now the aperture is set. I'm sorry, I had this set to economical mode, and so it's shutting off my rear LCD very quickly. If you want to set all these things back to automatic, hold the trash button in for a while, and all these qualities of shutter speed, aperture, exposure compensation, and ISO will go back to being automatically selected. This is brilliant because it lets you get the equivalent of all the other modes. If you want to do, well, you could set all of them manually. If I want to go into aperture preferred mode, I do that. Shutter speed preferred mode, I do that. And so I love this mode. To get a live RGB histogram, which is necessary to see your exposure before you shoot, other brands can't do this. What you have to do is go into menu camera 7. And I press this. You can get to camera 7 any way you want. Here's camera 7. Shooting info display. It's very well hidden. Then in this, under histogram display, please choose RGB. The default is brightness, which doesn't work because if you have a colorful subject, which is pretty much everything, you can easily blow out your red channel typically and not even know it. Look, if you're only looking at the brightness display. To see the RGB histogram, once you've enabled it, just press info enough times, and there you go. You see, it's RGB. You can also change the size of that in the same menu. To set the self-timer, you can set these several ways, but I press this, and then I go into the drive mode here, and here they are. Here's the key. You got the 2-second self-timer. I love that. The 10-second self-timer isn't marked that way, and there's no menu option that I could find to set the self-timer duration. The key is you just have to know that this is 10 seconds, and that's 2 seconds. Bingo. You see, it does say 10 seconds. It doesn't say it on the icon. So it flummoxed me for a while, but that's the answer. Also for frame rates, this is about 3 frames a second. Maybe that's 8 or so, and this is 12 or 20. For the long exposures, there's a bulb timer. This is relatively new with the EOS R system. To get to the bulb timer, to make long exposures, select bulb, and then go into menu, camera 6, bulb timer, enable it, and then set what you want. I have it set here for 4 minutes and 16 seconds. I use a self-timer that I just explained, and that way I don't have to use a remote release. I don't have to use a timer. I just press the button. Here we go, and walk away. And it's going to do this. It doesn't count down. It only counts up. And it's going to do this for the next 4 minutes all by itself. I don't have to do anything. I love that. To control whether or not the shutter is open or closed when you turn off the camera, what I love about this camera is by default, it's very rare among the camera world, but for mirrorless cameras, the shutter is closed and protects my sensor from crap and fingerprints. The Wrench 4 menu has an option. Shutter at shutdown, open or close, easy peasy. There's a lot of ways to set the autofocus. Servo AF means it's continuously focusing. One shot means that it grabs focus and just locks it so you can recompose. If I'm shooting things that don't move, I'll shoot one shot. And if I'm shooting things that do, I shoot Servo AF. I set all the facial recognition options and let it automatically select the autofocus zone that I need, and it usually works well. If it doesn't, then I go into the single autofocus zone mode, move this around. That's a very personal thing, but that's what I do. I don't use all of the modes, and people might think, no, I only use 2 modes. I set everything on fully automatic, and only if it doesn't do exactly what I want it to do with fully automatic, then and only then will I manually take whatever I have to off and set it myself. For lenses, Canon has a full range of lenses. Unlike any other manufacturer, if you want a 50mm f1, they're easy and plentiful to get on eBay, which is exactly where I got this one. You can use any of Canon lenses made since 1987, using any of their various EF to RF lens adapters, and all of your lenses work flawlessly. Everything since 1987 has always been totally electronic for Canon's lenses, so everything works flawlessly. Stabilization, data transfer, distance coupling, everything, you name it. Thanks again. That's it. If you like what you're seeing, the biggest support you can get, of course, is subscribe. But honestly, when you get your gear, if you use the links from my website at kenrockwell.com, I link only to the stores I use personally, like Adorama and B&H, which are fantastic. I've been shopping at them since the 1970s. For over 40 years, they've always treated me right, even when I was a kid in high school or junior high school. They're fantastic, which is why they're so big today. So by all means, that's the best way you can support these videos, as well as watch them and tell your friends. In any case, thanks again for watching kenrockwell.com and kenrockwell.tv. I'll see you on the next video.